What happened to the Suez Canal after the Roman era ended in Egypt? In this episode, see how Arabs reopened the Mediterranean Red Sea Canal, how Venetians envisioned new trade routes through Egypt, and how French explorers uncovered ancient history. Ultimately, these events forever shaped regional history and played an important role in the canal's evolution. In the last episode, we left off with Trajan's Canal and the Roman-Indian trade networks of 100 AD. However, as Rome became increasingly unstable before its final collapse, these trade networks ceased, as the demand for luxury goods in the Mediterranean greatly diminished. After the fall of Rome, Egypt would become a center for Islam. So how did this happen? In 286 AD, Emperor Diocletian divided Rome into four administrative regions to stabilize the empire, realizing that it was too large for one person to rule over. This began the Tetrarchy period of Roman history, and Diocletian's system divided east and west between two rulers who held the title of Augustus or senior emperor. Each Augustus had a Caesar, a junior governor over a minor province, who would one day be promoted to Augustus himself. This fragile and complicated system collapsed during a power struggle, resulting in Constantine becoming the ruler of both East and West. In 330, he founded Constantinople, or New Rome, in modern-day Turkey. Afterwards, the Roman Empire continued to deteriorate politically, rapidly losing stability. Its final division into West and East came in 395 AD, after the death of Theodosius I. Western Rome did not last for as long as Eastern Rome did. In 410, the West Romans abandoned Britain, and by 480, the Germanic conquerors fully controlled the remaining portions of the empire. Unlike the West Romans, the East Romans endured, and in the 500s, Emperor Justinian reconquered significant portions of Italy, Croatia, and Spain, all former parts of the West Roman Empire. He hoped to solidify these gains, potentially starting a trend towards restoring the Roman Empire. However, after his death, these expansions were gradually lost, and a new threat emerged, endangering the East Roman or Byzantine province of Aegyptus. This threat came from Arabia and swiftly swept over the Middle East, bringing Islam with it. In 570, the Prophet Muhammad, the founder of Islam, was born. By the time of his death in 632, Islam was the dominant religion in the Arab Peninsula. Immediately after his death, the Rashidun Caliphate was formed. Under this new leadership, the Arabs immediately attacked and conquered Persian Iraq in 633. Next, they turned their armies against the Byzantines, taking Palestine, Jordan, the Levant, and Syria in 634. After this string of victories, they pushed north, taking Byzantine Anatolia in 637. Following these victories, Amir ibn al-Az attacked the Byzantine province of Aegyptus in 639, defeating Byzantine Emperor Heraclius and conquering Egypt in 642. Immediately after this victory, Amir ibn al-Az wanted to increase the ease of grain exports from Egypt to his capital, Medina, a major city located in modern-day Saudi Arabia. He ordered the abandoned Suez Canal to be re-excavated to increase the efficiency of these grain exports. The new canal followed the Roman canal's path, starting in Cairo, Egypt, and ending at the Bitter Lake and Suez. However, its terminus in the greater Cairo area was dug slightly north of the old Roman one. The new terminus was in the Saida Zanyab neighborhood of Cairo, while the old Roman canal was near the Babylon fortress, a castle built to protect the canal from attackers. This area was never re-excavated for a waterway. Instead, this is where the Arabs founded the city of Fustat, the first capital of Egypt under Muslim rule. Around the time of this canal's completion, a geography treatise, De Mensura Orbis Terrae, or Concerning the Measurement of the World, was written by an Irish monk named D. Cooley, born in the late 700s. Here, he reports a conversation with another monk, Fidelis, who he had sailed on the canal from the Nile to the Red Sea during a pilgrimage to the Holy Land in the early 700s. This account illustrates how the canal was used throughout the 700s as a way to hasten international travel. The Rashidun Caliphate that built this canal eventually dissolved due to internal conflicts, and the Umayyads became the second Islamic Caliphate. Under the Umayyads, the Islamic Empire reached its maximum extent by 725. However, by the late 700s, the Abbasid Caliphate had replaced it. Abbasid territory was notably smaller than the Umayyads, as some regions, like Spain and North Africa, had splintered to form their small Islamic kingdoms. During an Arabian rebellion against the Abbasids in 767, Caliph al-Mansur ordered the Suez closed to prevent supplies from reaching the rebels in Medina, a large city in modern-day Saudi Arabia. After al-Mansur's decision, the canal was closed for over 200 years, until the Fatimid Caliph al-Hakim claimed to have briefly repaired it around the year 1000, before it once more became choked with the Nile's silt. While most of the canal was lost to time, a small section near Cairo, the Khalij, continued to serve as part of the city's water infrastructure until the 1800s. Here is an 1885 map of this medieval canal winding through the city. This map was made shortly before the Khalij was filled to make way for a wide boulevard and tram line. The larger Ismailia Canal is also visible on this map. Completed in 1883 and located to the north of the smaller Khalij, this navigable channel was made to assist the construction of the Suez Canal, providing a supply route for the labor. Interestingly, the Ismailia Canal mirrors the original Islamic one. The next time the Suez Canal would come to the spotlight of history was in the mid-1400s. Bartholomew Diaz's successful navigation around southern Africa opened a direct maritime trading route to India and the Malacca Islands. These islands were vital producers of the spices Europeans wanted to buy. While previously Europeans had to rely on Middle Eastern middlemen, now the Portuguese could buy them directly from the producers using this route. This forever changed the balance of Mediterranean spice trade. One of the greatest losers in this new agreement was the Venetian Republic, which rapidly lost its monopoly on spices once the Portuguese trade networks bypassed the Middle East entirely. The desperate Venetian leaders contemplated digging a waterway between the Red Sea and Nile to restore their trade dominance of spices and other eastern luxuries. Despite entering into negotiation with Egypt's ruling Mamluks, the Venetian plan to build the canal was quickly foiled by the Ottoman conquest of Egypt in 1517, led by Sultan Selim I, who did not want to cooperate with the Venetians. While the Ottomans were unwilling to work with the Venetians, they still wanted to connect the Mediterranean and Red Seas. In the mid-1500s, Ottoman Grand Vizier Soluk Mehmed Pasha planned to re-excavate the canal from Cairo to Suez. This was motivated by a desire to connect their capital, Istanbul, in Turkey, to Mecca, in Saudi Arabia, making pilgrimage journeys easier. Additionally, the increased European presence in the Indian Ocean threatened their strategic and mercantile interests there. The ability to maneuver their Mediterranean fleet to the Indian Ocean would allow them to protect their trade interests from the Portuguese, who could easily apprehend Ottoman merchant vessels sailing from India with impunity. Unfortunately, the Ottomans decided this project would be too expensive, and so their naval power in the Indian Ocean never rivaled the Portuguese. Almost 300 years later, the Ottomans still controlled Egypt. After the French Revolution, the War of the Second Coalition pitted France against several enemies, including the Ottomans. During this war, France sent a naval invasion to Egypt, occupying the country from 1798 to 1801. French General Napoleon expressed interest in the region's ancient past during the occupation. Napoleon scoured northern Egypt with the help of a cadre of archaeologists, scientists, cartographers, and engineers. Eventually, their findings were published in the 1809 book Description de l'Egypte. This book included a map depicting the discovery of an ancient canal extending westward from the Nile toward the Bitter Lakes. After becoming Emperor of France in 1804, Napoleon contemplated building a north-south canal to connect the Mediterranean to the Red Sea. This design would avoid the silt-laden Nile, making the canal less prone to decay. While Napoleon never built a canal, due to a focus on European wars and a belief that it would be technically impossible to complete, it is interesting that later plans for the construction of the Suez would bypass the Nile Delta altogether, just as he envisioned. In 1869, 65 years after Napoleon became the French emperor, the Suez Canal was officially opened as a joint Anglo-French venture. This closes the story of the canal's earlier renditions. However, the canal's modern history is just as fascinating, and I hope to cover this in another video. Thank you for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed the video.